Alrighty, everybody, welcome back. It is another episode of Watch Club, specifically Watch Club episode 7. How is everybody? It is a Tuesday, so not much going on in the week right now. We were just getting our week started off. And personally, I'm tired. I got my cup of wine, or glass of wine really, because it's like a Jack Daniels wine glass that I found. I wanted to be fancy with it, if you will. But yeah. I got my Jack Daniels wine club for this watch club. Got my Jack Daniels wine club. Alrighty, I had to do a double check on that volume, but we're doing A-okay. But like I said, we are in season 1, still episode 7 of Watch Club, specifically doing Empresses in the Palace episodes 30 to 34. As always, you can catch this review and commentary live on Twitch, and then of course archived over on YouTube. But without further ado, let's get into it. I just want to make everyone aware, if you would like to tag along, or if you would like to watch along with us, but you yourself need an actual place to watch, is it? Yeah, it's still on YouTube, but I noticed in the comments, the playlist for this for Empresses in that Palace doesn't have full translations up until, I think it's episode 52, 53, and I know we have a long way to go, so I'm gonna find a separate source so I can continue watching the videos and we can continue Watch Club no problem. That being said, the Magpie Brigade team, they are still actively translating, so don't get too caught up on the episodes just yet. But if you would like to wait and you're already passing where we are in Watch Club per se, because I don't mind if you guys, move along, because then you actually get to hear my commentary and then think, oh, she doesn't know what's gonna happen, I digress. But once again, if you'd like to wait, by all means, the team will update. It's a steady pace. I believe it's only like 2 or 3 people who are updating the actual subtitles, so bear with them, bear with me. But for the time being, we have like 20 more like actual episodes to dive into, because we're only at episode 30, and I believe the subtitle translations stop at 52. So we have like 22 episodes, so we're fine. But just to make everyone aware. But that being said, and that's for the YouTube playlist. That's once again Empresses in the Palace, the Legend of Zhen Huan. All 76 episodes are uploaded to YouTube, but the subtitle translations stop at episode 52. That being said, we are hopping into episode 30. And y'all already know from last episode. I'm pissed off, okay? We already know from last episode, this fucking lady, Noble Consort Hua, has completely fucked herself, okay? She's made me mad. She's made majority of everybody in the harem, or people who are, okay, not majority of the people in the harem, but majority of the people who are friends and who appear to be friends with Concubine Wan are upset, so she's made them upset, she's made me upset, chat, so she has no one on her side right now, except for probably Noble Lady Sao, right? And it's like, why is she not freaking out yet? She's in the first episode, she's quiet. It's so fucking quiet, you can hear a pin drop, and I've never seen her this quiet. But I'm expecting her to be oh shit, freaking out, trying to make plans, right? And she's just why didn't she tell me she was in pain? Why didn't she tell me she was hurting and about to bleed? And of course Noble Lady Sao was well, she did actually. And she's how was I supposed to know? She's lied to me before. She's made shit up to me before. And I'm oh bitch, you really don't care. I really expected her to be sobbing, trying to okay, let's make up some lie. No, she straight up just she should have said something, and if she had said something, none of this would have happened. It's all her fault, And then when it came down to it, she actually slaps fucking Noble Lady Sao back. When Noble Lady Sao's why didn't you just not make her kneel for an hour, dumbass? She slaps Noble Lady Sao. And her maid's oh fuck, Noble Consort Hua's maid is fuck, we can't you can't do that. So she's like, it's okay, noble lady Sao, don't be mad. Concert Hua's just really upset and panicking, and obviously she's like trying to cover her ass. And so noble lady Sao's like, okay, we have to come up with a plan, and maybe you should like humble yourself, you know, maybe you should like kind of apologize first and get ahead of this. And the reason why noble lady Sao brings this up is because they hear that the procession of the empress and the emperor is on their way back, like immediately. Like they've heard the news, they're returning through the gates, like they're literally up the street type of thing. And so once again, when I thought this lady was gonna be like, oh shit, oh fuck, I need to like, because for a moment, like her eyes bulge out and she's like, oh shit, oh shit. But nothing, nothing. She's still like, why should I even bow down? Why should I apologize first? I did nothing wrong. I was just punishing a wrong concubine, you know, why should I humble myself? And noble lady Sal's like, are you fucking idiot? That's not what matters right now. Like, you gotta think about what his majesty's gonna think. And if you admit fault and you like humble yourself, it might make him less angry. And she's still like, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. His majesty will find the truth when he arrives, so I did nothing wrong. And noble lady Sal's like, oh, okay, sure, like he's gonna do that. But like, she just miscarried, you know? Like, what if he like goes to concubine Juan, who he clearly favors, who he clearly loves, and she starts crying all over him to like do something about you, and you haven't even bowed your head, you know, he might come down hard on you, and he might like affect your title and like your family and all that shit. So she musters up, not even strength, like she musters up enough, like, I don't know, what could you muster up to, like, to humiliate yourself? She musters up enough strength, I guess, to humiliate herself. But we move on to the next scene, and the doctors are immediately explaining to the emperor what happened. She had heat stroke. She had undue pressure due to kneeling in the sun. Like the emperor like is going crazy because they had to keep giving her medicine to help revive her and shit. So the emperor is just like, okay, what the fuck happened? What's going on? Why did she why was she kneeling in the sun in the first place? And why did no one like get a chair? Like he's upset. So immediately he's like he asks 1B to hold her up. He starts feeding her medicine. He's just like, everyone shut the fuck up, okay? And even the empress who's behind him, by the way, who we are looking out for, who we don't trust, she's behind him and she's looking concerned. She's just also like, you can see like her eyes like downcast a bit, I guess you could say, and she's just like, you can tell she's like, he's never done this for me. He's never shown me this much care, right? Because she's had a miscarriage too. So you can see even the empress, while also concerned, is also still like, I've never had to, you know, this love and affection, and thinking about herself too. So my point bringing this up is, even during these times of distress, and like we obviously see Consort Hua like being the evil bitch that she is, the queen, the empress, is also someone that we need to look out for too, because she's not entirely like blameless, and not in like this situation, but overall in dealing with the harem. We getting the opposite of dehydrated, chat. We're drinking wine. We're inflaming our livers and we're getting fucked up. Let's go. So in the next scene, we hear Su Peshong talking to Jinshi, concubine Wan's head maid, and Jinshi is telling him like what happened, how did she get rescued, which was Prince Go's doing, and everything. And so of course Jinshi's a little concerned because men are not really supposed to enter the harem, let alone, you know, be carrying off a wife of the emperor. But Su Peshong tells her, you know, not to worry. Prince Go and the emperor's relationship, you know, are strong enough that the emperor wouldn't even think that way, you know, which is pretty, it's a relief to me, because I really thought that was also a plot people were gonna try and like trick, like play on, and like throw this against concubine Juan, and use this against her in a way to say, oh look, she might be a lover of Prince Go, he came to rescue her, you know, that type of thing. But moving on, because then we see in the next scene, fucking Consort Hua, who did, like we said, she bit back her pride. That's what she did. She summoned enough pride to actually humble herself, and she's walking in. Her hair is down, by the way, which is not frowned upon, but it's something you would only do in like humbling times, like a funeral or a miscarriage, or like obviously when you're home, like it's a way of undressing yourself without actually undressing yourself. And especially for someone who has such pride and takes dignity in her looks, her having her hair down, no makeup, she doesn't have her talons, she doesn't have her nail guards on or anything like that, and she's like coming to the front of the palace to kneel. She like pushes, not pushes, she kind of like stares at Su Peshang. She gives him a look, and then she kind of like fans out her dress and kneels down for the emperor, right? And that's something that I didn't think she was gonna actually do. Even Prince Gao, who's in the corner, we see that he's kind of looking on, is kind of like, what the fuck? He's like, And so, like I said, I never thought she would do that, but it gets even better because all the other concubines walk in and they're looking at her like, oh, dun dun dun. Like, you know she hates this shit. You know she hates this shit, right? And it's Noble Hui was like, it's on sight. Like, she really was about to lunge. Like, she lunged at her and was like, listen, bitch. Like, she really was about to get at her real quick. Because she knew. Consort Hua knew, Noble Lady Hui knew, like everybody involved in this knew that from the jump, Consort Hua was gonna have to deal with a whole bunch of shit. Like, she knew she was gonna have to deal with this shit, especially so now that Concubine Wan's child and herself have been harmed, you know? Because we find out that Concubine Wan lost her child. We, after Noble Lady's Way, like, almost knocked the shit out of her and was like, bitch, they come back into the room, into her chamber. All the concubines come in. They're like, let's see her first. And, you know, they calm down Noble Lady Wei, telling her it's not worth it. The emperor will make a fair decision, whatever. And that's when we find out that, unfortunately, you know, she lost her baby. And it's really sad. We all knew this was going to happen. Not necessarily just for plot, but, like, she literally had this woman kneeling in the sun. Hot sun, by the way, summer heat, and it's like 110 degrees for almost an hour, reading, being whipped, and not necessarily like her being literally whipped, but her friend, which is causing distress on its own. But yeah, like, she got whipped too. We're gonna call it like we see it. She got whipped too. And then on top of that, she had to be like she was sitting there while she tried to like not keel over, that was rude. While she tried to like lean over a little bit to like rest herself, to like wake her, like I guess to wake her up or reinvigorate her. Consort Hua put like mint and like burning leaves in front of her to like wake her up as a way to say, oh look, if you really are sick, you have no excuse now, right? So she dealt with all of this shit, and we expected her to keep her child, and she was bleeding after everything? No, of course not. So finally, Concubine Wan wakes up. And everyone's, well, not everyone, the emperor and maybe Concubine Hui, but we'll say everyone who we physically see is relieved. And she, like, Concubine Wan is like, you have returned. You know, she's like, you've returned. I need to tell you what happened. Please, like, she's distraught. Like, she's already in what Noble Lady Sao described earlier. Like, she's in that mode where she's ready to, not like, how do I explain it? Like, she knows that the emperor's back, so she knows that, like, she can lean on him in a way. She can describe her grievances. So she's ready to do that, right? And at first, she's like, my child, you know, where's my baby? Are they okay? Thinking that she, you know, gave birth, right? But obviously, you can't give birth at 4 months and your child be okay, especially in imperial China. And so the emperor is like, we'll have another child someday. And my heart broke at this scene, Chad. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, my heart broke. The actress, Sun Li, who played Concubine Wan, who played Zhen Huan, was amazing in this scene, okay? The blank stare to immediate pain like the tears rushing, the like the gasp of pain, bro. I cried with her. Like I had to stop for a few seconds while watching this episode. And like she cries out for her child. Like when she like leans her head back and yells, it really broke me. And so I really thought like the Emperor was gonna be like off with her head, off rip, chat. Like I really thought he wasn't gonna think twice, right? Ooh, what the fuck did I just do? What the fuck did I just do? Sorry, chat. Yeah, like I was saying, I thought the Emperor would have been off with her head. And I immediately was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna like deal with this, right? We're gonna get this like over with. This is it. We're gonna get her out, right? And no, we don't. The Emperor's piece of shit asshole. Ooh, love red wine. But yeah, like this asshole doesn't do like he doesn't even broach the topic of death penalty. Okay, even like concubine Hui, who's there, even consort Esteem or what's consort consort Jing, yes. Esteem is like the subtitle name they give her. But even like consort Jing and noble lady Wei are just like this wasn't just some, you know, natural cause. No, bitch, this was man-made. Like the time of mourning is now. You need to do something about this. And she's like breaking down, crying and like pleading in the background. And the Emperor can like he can barely stand to even like look. Like he's just like he's broken himself, and he's like, where's that true? And I'm like, oh wait, maybe he is gonna do something. No, he doesn't. And then Super Shang informs him like that he's outside, she's out. Noble Consort Hua's outside. She has unfastened her hair and is awaiting judgment. You know, so I'm like, how come after everything? Because she hears that she lost concubine Wine lost her baby. Obviously Su Peshang delivers the news to tell her to come in. And how could he not just immediately like want to slap the fuck out of her, right? You just killed my child. I thought he was gonna do that. And she tries to be like, concubine Wine offended me today, and I tried to impose, you know, I tried to impose impartial judgment. I don't understand how she lost her child. You know, I never intended for that. You know, all that bullshit. And so I'm just sitting here like, once again, is he taking her family into consideration right now? Is that why he didn't kill her? And he was like, you know, what did he say? Let me go back, call in chat. What did he say? He was like, you knew she was 3 months pregnant. You know, why did you assume you could do this? And immediately, thank God, Consort Jing's like, oh, she thought she was in a pregnancy. Consort Hua thought concubine Wan had a stable pregnancy. She thought, you know, she was 4 months in, and that's why she insisted on doing this type of punishment. That was the reason why she forced her to kneel for so long, right? So they're compiling all this on her, and the Emperor still does nothing. Like, Consort Hua pleads, I didn't know, please don't, like, I thought it would be fine if she knelt for an hour, that's what the doctors told me, blah, blah, you know, blah, 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 trying to save her fucking skin, right? And the Emperor still does nothing, dude. Like, they get mad, they even talk about how his first Empress Chunyun, I guess she imposed the same punishment on his Lord Consort, which is the Empress, the current Empress right now. She was a Lord Consort, if you guys remember. She wasn't the first Empress. She was the younger sister of the Empress. So we find out that Empress Premier, or the main Empress, which I don't know why they gave her that title name. They could have just said Empress Chunyun, whatever. Empress Chunyun was someone who imposed the same punishment on the current Empress, causing her to miscarry, right? And so I'm thinking, oh shit, we getting tea. Okay, is that how she had her miscarriage? And so the Emperor we hear is like, that was an honest mistake, that he didn't even know. or Empress Premier didn't even know. She was consumed with guilt for her mistake, and it caused her experience like labor, like causing Empress Chunyun to experience labor difficulties and lose her own child too, right? So we're getting tea while all of this is happening. Take note, Chad. We're getting tea that the first Empress, Empress Chunyun, caused her younger sister, the current Empress, to lose her child by forcing her to kneel in the sun, which somehow also caused that Empress Chunyun so much grief that while she was pregnant, she lost so much blood and lost her child, you know? So, you know, I just want y'all to pay attention, because clearly the Empress that we know is not someone who would, I guess, let that go, you know? And coming to find out that her sister also had a miscarriage in labor, you know, something tells me that while, of course, this is all about Consort Hua and what she's done to Concubine Wan, once again, we're still getting information about the Empress herself and some of her actions, right? And some of the things that she's been through. How we even heard before this episode, Consort Hua herself had a miscarriage. So all of these miscarriages all throughout the harem, who was causing all these miscarriages? Obviously, Consort Hua caused this miscarriage with Concubine Wan that we see. And we saw some speculation on Consort Duan potentially causing Consort Hua's miscarriage, but I don't think she did. And Consort Duan was like, I didn't. Even the Emperor was like, I didn't do it. But, you know, hey, who's to say that she didn't? And now that we're also hearing that the current Empress and the deceased Empress, Empress Chunyun, also lost children, you know? So a whole bunch of miscarriages happening. But I digress. Let's get back into the plot, chat. I'm talking too much about something else. Let's move on. So yeah, so about that situation, the Emperor is like, that was an accident. This, you know, this can't even compare. You knew clearly the Concubine Wan was, Concubine Wan was pregnant. And you're trying to use this as some, like, bullshit excuse to skirt yourself out of responsibility, showing that you have no remorse for your actions. You're ignorant. I mean, you were not ignorant of her. You were intentionally cruel, you know? And that's the whole point, right? That is the whole point of this, is that she intentionally did this. And even the Emperor acknowledges this as well. And yet, he does not impose the death penalty. He doesn't take her life. He doesn't throw her in prison. No. He doesn't do any of the severe, harsh punishments that you would expect to happen to someone who would cause this, especially to a favored concubine, right? No. It doesn't, chat. Sorry, chat. I had to dehydrate with some red wine. Getting heated. But anyway, he doesn't do any of that. And once again, it only could be because of the family consideration he has. And not the family, the considerations for, like, what her family can do. Obviously, her brother is a big, like, forerunner in the military. His sons are making moves in the military, you know, so he has to take that into consideration. But, bro, how could he do Concubine Wan like that? I don't understand, like, how losing a child like that, especially from someone you compared, or someone you're comparing in your mind to your first love, you know, who also experienced a miscarriage. It was so crazy to me. But she was demoted to the rank of consort. Her honorary name was taken from her. Her I think the powers to assist in palace affairs and shit that she had with the Empress was taken from her. And he basically was like, and, you know, won't be summoned, or no, won't be seen unless summoned, meaning, like, she's, like, locked in her palace unless someone were to call for her. Like, you cannot walk out, like, not locked, like, there's no lock and chain on her palace, like how he's done in the past to other concubines, aka Noble Lady Hui. But he's literally saying, you know, you're confined to your palace unless you're summoned for, like, anything by me or the Empress type of thing. And it's not enough, chat. It's not enough. And it really shows that, once again, the intricacies of like imperial life really is intertwined with court life, right? So much so that the death of an imperial child, of a concubine that the emperor sees in his mind as his first love, is not enough for him to want to kill the person who caused said death. Not enough to want to imprison the person who caused said death. Not enough to affect her family, to demote her brothers or her nephews. None of that. None of her male relatives are affected in this way. Her family isn't affected in this way. It really kind of like took the wind out of my like sails, I guess that's how people say it, for the show. Because once again, yeah, plot armor. Yeah, she has plot armor. She probably won't survive after this for a while, hopefully. I hope it doesn't go for another 20 episodes and she's still here. But for the most part, it really is reaffirming that like court life and like harem life is inextricably intertwined, to the point that the emperor cannot kill or imprison someone who has harmed him so gravely for the sake of being able to use said person's family for a better gain. And I can only imagine what it's like living that way. For the emperor himself, because I'm sure he feels guilty, though he's not the one who had to like physically lose the child and experience the pain of losing a child. It was still his child. It was still his baby that he was expecting with concubine Juan. And while like he feels guilty, I can only imagine the pain and deep hatred that concubine Juan feels at having to see this woman still like, like essentially alive and well. She just can't go anywhere. She just gets to sit in her palace, which isn't much of a punishment, It's not really fair. Yeah, she got her honorary title taken away. Yeah, she's a consort. Whoop-de fucking, or I guess she's not a noble consort anymore. She's just a regular consort. But like, whoop-de fucking dude. Like, all of that in trade of your child's life, it's not enough. But I digress, chat, because I could talk about this, or I could talk about that all day, that particular scene and what's happening all day. But we do have, like, barely updated ranks. She is Consort Nian now. She just has her last name. And that's it. She's not a noble consort anymore. She doesn't have her honorary title. Blase squaze. Everything else is pretty much the same in the ranks. Anyways, moving on. The Empress asks if we should tell the Empress Dowager. The Empress like, we don't mention it. Noble Lady Fuga just had a miscarriage. Let's not upset her anymore. And so the Empress agrees, and everyone leaves the room. Consort Pla still trying to say it was my mistake. Please have mercy. And the Emperor's like, but what was Consort Hua's mistake? What was the mistake of all the concubines? They all endured the scorching sun for concubine Juan, so you could go ahead and get a punishment off. But we all know that he's not necessarily literally talking about that. He's talking about all the other women that she's unfortunately harmed. And you can see it, because he's like, when he says, what about all the concubines, he pauses, right? And then he adds, they had to stand in the scorching sun. And that pause held so much information. That silence held so much weight. And you can see it in Consort Nian's eyes as well. She's kind of like, oh shit, like he's not even like, he's talking about all the shit I've done. Not even just like now. And so she knows that like that's the end of it. She knows that she can't come back from like this particular incident that she did. So he gets even angrier, and he's like, every day at midday, you're gonna kneel outside the palace, her palace, for 4 hours, and then you'll tell me how it feels on whether or not, it's, whether or not it wasn't a harsh punishment to like impose. And so she bows, and she just takes it, and everyone leaves, and everyone is crying and upset. And Consort Nian, like, tries to talk to Mr. Su, and she's like, I've never seen him, like, so angry. What shall I do? And, like, Su Pei Shang's like, just pardon my saying this, but know how much, like, how, no matter how much you like her, bro, you should not, like, just do shit like that, You shouldn't just do shit like like, to just make somebody miscarry. And so she's like, but I'm wrong, like, I'm wrongfully convicted, I didn't mean to do it. And he's like, yeah, but does the emperor see it like that, though? And she just walks away sad, head down, like, yeah. Like, fuck you. It's what you deserve. Anyways, like I said, back to the chamber. Everyone's getting ready to leave, and of course the Empress. This is why I said the Empress is literally, watch out for her, because her little fucking slick ass comment. Because the Emperor tells everyone to leave. He wants to be with her, right? And the Empress is like, Concubine 1, you have many years ahead of you. Don't be so lost in grief. You'll have more children. It's like, fuck you! Bitch, leave me alone! Leave me the fuck alone, dude. Like, what made you think it was okay to say some shit like that to me? As I just lost my child. As I just miscarried, like, an hour, 2 hours ago. Don't be measured in grief. Oh, so I should be happy in the next hour? I should be smiling in the next hour? When I say I almost threw my keyboard chat, I was so upset. But now that the Emperor and Concubine 1 are alone, and they're together, he says something to me. He literally says something to me. He says something to her that did something to me, right? He said, today, had Prince Gao not rescued you from kneeling and sent someone to inform me about what happened, it's hard to imagine how much worse it would have been, or like how much worse it would have turned out. And to me, I'm like, should you be saying that?